Okay, so I'm Helen and
I'm
this is
Alex.
And we're here at Panorama Festival 2012 presenting our installation We See Fireworks.
And how you started like your partnership, and how did you start to work together and come up with this?
Well, that's an interesting one. Yes, it's over 15 years ago we started working together. And I'm a curator and a festival director in the UK. So my practice is normally programming other artists' work. And Alex is an artist, and I've worked as his, producer in the past. So we probably really started making work together in about 2005, where we started to realise that our two visions have something better together than they have apart, maybe. And Alex's skill is very much sound, starting first with sound, audio, and then going into how light can be used to illustrate the sound. And mine is a curatorial practice, so I'm really good at generating amazing stories from people and then finding like a hypertext, if you like, the bigger story from the small stories. Mm-hmm. And so We See Fireworks is a piece that was my idea. And I always really loved vintage light bulbs, like the way that you can see the electricity firing them up. And so we started with the stories and then began to realise that you need something to concentrate on when you're in the darkness listening to stories, to audio. People don't listen, they can't concentrate if you don't have something to focus on. And so the light became a reason to get people to stay, to be seduced into staying in the dark for a while. And then I got into collecting these beautiful light bulbs that then reminded me of fireworks, which then reminded me of memory and the way that the memory fires and then explodes and then disappears. So yeah, I've gone into a completely other world, but
And how is it, the experience of going lots of places and collecting memories from different kind of people and countries, and you feel differences and the relation with the performances and experience between each place you go through, and how you feel?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think actually things are very similar around the world. I mean, we tell our stories differently, certainly, but I think we have the same things we care about. So in the end, we're talking about love or death or family or, something that makes us laugh or makes us feel something strongly. And actually, that's very human. We all share it. So in a way, I think in Brazil, it's been interesting because people like to talk. They like to tell stories. And in the UK, say, people are a lot more conservative and they maybe don't tell the stories in the same way. I don't know what you think, Alex. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of commonality, I suppose, so that you can find strong lines of similarity sort of everywhere you go. I think the thing that's kind of good about it, though, is all the little bits that you just don't find anywhere else. So, I'm trying to think, actually. So, there's like one story we had here, which was about a girl was dancing for a guy who he hadn't had plucked up courage to ask her out, and he kept looking at her, and then he found out later, once he got the courage to ask her out, that she was dancing for him. But it's kind of one of those things that I sort of went, well, actually in the UK that wouldn't happen. People don't try and, they'll ask to dance together straight away. They won't just stand there going, I am dancing for you at a distance.
Yeah.
So there's little things which kind of make the story really interesting for us.
And also,
you know, and we only had to sort of try and understand that from somebody translating and going, well, what was happening? What was happening? So we've had quite a lot of depth trying to figure out whether they are. We get the common bit is trying to find out what they're actually saying, or you know, is it good? Does it make sense? You know, is it you know being told really passionately or not, or you know, so that, and that story was told in quite not really passionately, but what came out was it was one of the most important things that ever happened to him. So you know, so that's been a really interesting thing being here.
And I also think the other thing that is really incredible, and you maybe don't notice that whilst you're recording, you hear it more when you listen back and you start to choose and edit the recordings, how much it's really true that the location that you're in influences the stories. So what will be amazing for us is when we go back to the UK, we will hear those stories and they will conjure instantly this place, you know. So there's a story, for instance, about a woman in a street in Sao Paulo, and it's talking about this prostitute who's naked, wearing these long leather boots, performing in effect for the crowd. And again, in the UK, we would get somewhere around that, but the whole feeling of that street and the people that are, you know, out in that street that night, having, you know, drinking, gathering together in the street, and this one solitary woman in the midst of that is it's a Sao Paulo story. It couldn't really happen anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about one more question, but I just dropped it. But
Go on, we'll come back.
just a sec.